Bing. Go ahead, Dad. Go
Hey,
ahead.
gorgeous, how are you?
Great.
Good. Okay, I'm going to get my stuff out of the glove compartment.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to have a conversation with Erica. Say hello to her.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, no.
You were going to tell me about the Hemmers.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the first Hemmer draft. How's that?
But it's better when people talk. So tell
But
it.
right now my brain is in a fog.
No, you know this like the back of your hand.
Nice hand.
All right, I forget, Dad. Why Hemmers?
Well, why am I using the name Hemmers? Okay. That's good. Am I on record or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's for me.
Good. Oh, it is for you. Okay. I'm using the name Hemmers because, let's say Christ, when he's getting ready to give a talk, right? This woman who had some crap wrong with her decided to sneak up on him and just touch the hem of his garment. And by touching the hem of his garment, she got cured. All right, which to me indicates that Christ at that time was so full of energy and light that any part of him that there was access to shared it with the woman. The thing is, lately, doing some experiments, give me a hand. Just give me a hand, Owen. Okay, just give me a hand. Okay, good. The thing is, let's say I rub my hands together, and I know that when I grab your hand, I'm setting a flow charge through me to you, and it'll get there. The charge gets there. Let's say you have a stomach ache. We just sent the charge to your arm, but the charge is smart. It'll take time. Your body knows what to do. It will absorb the charge, and you'll cure yourself. Okay, that's the whole idea between the Hemmers, the philosophy of the Hemmers. What I'm going to reference is that people say that, let's say, 3,000 years back, they called them the gods. The gods had mortal form, and they lived to 800 or 900 years. And they had a lot of offspring who lived to 700, 800, 900 years. And that was based on the energy that they had. They were aware that they had, and they could share. What I think is they wound up interbreeding so much that when they interbred, everybody, all people are called the sons of God, period. But when somebody, let's say with just a little charge, right, decides to marry somebody with just a little charge, right, and just get excited with everyday life and not pay attention to the charge he has in his body, they get screwed up, and it really dwindles. And it dwindled to such a point that there was sooner death.
So forgetting, in other words.
Yeah.
So remembrance, because in the sense of the Bible, God's image is in everyone, so it's there.
Not just the image, God is in everyone.
Okay, yeah.
The thing is that some of the religions, you're the Son of God, but if the Son of God, what do you picture about the Son of anybody? What's the purpose? What does that kid do? Grows up to be like
the parents.
Yeah. So if you're a son of God, that means you're a baby God. And you got to either accept that or not. And if you accept it, then you could grow, and maybe people can start living to 900 years again. But under different terms, because the gods did not hang around. They had their own special place that they flew away to. They had to go, oh, yeah. And off they went to their special place, Mount Olympus, at that time. So there must be, let's put it this way, Jess. I talked to you about your intellectual gifts, all right? Now, look at the bell curve, and what part of the bell curve do you think you'll land on?
The right side.
Come on, Jess, where?
It doesn't.
Good.
Yeah.
Where on the bell curve? Just over the hump, down in the little valley here, or on a little edge on the end? Where would you wind up?
Just over the hump.
I'm just talking about intellectual powers.
Right.
Okay. So what you say is just going over the hump, maybe 40% of the people are brighter than you?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I'm not worried about any of that these days. And
No, I'm just getting location.
yeah, but I could tell you that my intelligence is not as high as it used to be. So it doesn't behoove me anyway to focus on that aspect of myself.
Well, where do you think you are now? Even though, your dad had problems, right? When you would come home to me and say, "Oh, I'm going out schmucko. He's such a bright schmuck,"
Right.
And
I think we're digressing from the...
no, we're not.
Yeah.
And what I do is I say, God, I'm dealing with a kid who's at the extreme end of the bell curve, right? Talking about somebody who just about made it over the hump.
He was actually really smart.
Yeah, but the 80th percentile. That's where I thought, Jess, that's it. I'm saying, God, why doesn't she accept how good she is? It was, to me, that was really hard, watching my kids my kids who were really bright, thinking that somebody who had
Well, he knew a lot. He was like a walking encyclopedia.
No, it's the difference between knowing a lot.
But that's a not a testament. It might not be the best word. That's more about self-worth, self-love, self-esteem because it doesn't matter. The intellect doesn't matter unless you use it to help the world, to do good, to amplify love in the world.
Now you're adding the thing
but it doesn't, right? Like if you think about someone who's really smart, that particular person hid himself from the world. So even if he was the biggest genius over all the way on the right of the bell curve, you could have everyone made fun of Britney Spears back in the day, right? But what if she wrote a song that united the world in peace, right? Right? So people put themselves above.
That's what I'm saying is
no one's above.
The 90th percentile.
Yes,
but I meet somebody
yes.
who's a musician, since you picked a musician, or a singer. There are different offshoots. Intellectual is not the only.
Right.
So what happens is she or he, with their music ability, slides into that 99th percentile. And they're sharing that. They don't have as much power as the guy who's sitting there, because the guy who has that 99th percentile knows he could learn instruments, he could do this, but he's focusing his mind, like you said, on other things. Maybe loving people, maybe making the world a better place, but it's like, in terms of ability, some people have more of a spark to encompass more abilities. Some people have the spark to bring forth one ability, and they're going to be an expert in that field. It's like you said, it's crazy. That's why I was asking you all the levels that you thought were possible. You have the intellect, you have the emotional impact, you have the sharing, you have selfishness. Then you have, what do you have? What are 9 categories that you would say are important to human beings?
So there's actually probably a model for 9 dimensions, but I could probably rattle one for 8 dimensions off the top of my head. And this would be dimensions of wellness, which would be intellectual, emotional, spiritual, environmental, social, vocational, financial, and I'm forgetting another one. Physical, emotional, spiritual, I don't know. So there's different dimensions. And then what does traction look like in those dimensions? Meaning what's aligned, what's an amplification of bringing love and light into the world. And you can do that via your intellect. You can do that via social connection. You can do that. Did I say environmental? I think I did, right? I don't know which one. I thought I could rattle them, but I can't. But I'm not worried about memorizing anymore. And it's more about amplifying that love in the world, every moment.
Were you a memorizer or did you comprehend the overall?
Well, when I was younger in school, it was sheer memorization. Okay. I mean, I understood it, but the tests were based on memorization, so I memorized. Okay. Then when it got to the MCAT level of body of knowledge, that's where you had to draw connections and say, oh, well, now it's not just what I learned in physics or I learned in biology. They're asking me about the physics of this particular blood vessel, right? And you had to put it together, right? So, and that was our generation, was very memorization oriented, which is why parents lose their stuff when they look at the homework that's coming home that has kids figure out stuff in different ways. But the superintendent out here, when my kids were in school, said, we're training kids for jobs or educating kids for the future jobs that we don't even know what they are because they don't exist yet. So getting people to think creatively, put things together, connect things that maybe seemingly wouldn't connect necessarily. And so the generation, I think, that grew up with the memorizing, very straightforward, didn't even know how to handle that. But I see why we're educating in a different way, because there is now we're seeing jobs that didn't exist before, and we'll keep continuing to see that and that and that and that and that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you said, it's great to be intellectually whatever, right? But you have to have transference to other things that you
What's the contribution then? Yeah. What's the purpose? What's the living intention that goes along with that? Because if it's just, that person was pretty much a hermit. And so hopefully he went out into the world and used that for good. But otherwise it's I don't even think he was proud of his intellect, but someone might be proud of their intellect, but what is it doing in the world, right? What's the value? What's the importance?
Yeah. No,
what's the helpfulness?
What can you affect in which
what's the benefit? Yeah.
Right.
And that you don't have to necessarily do that intellectually, like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. They're the ones who saved the world with their music, right? So we could have been, I'm doing my calculus. Right. I'm so much better than everyone else. Look at me, how smart I am.
No, there's somewhere along the line you learn that if everybody is a son of God, then everybody is good and powerful.
Yes.
Okay? And you have to respect that in each person you meet.
Exactly.
And then there are different paths.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the paths are what you call a total waste of time.
I didn't call anything that. Okay. Because who am I to judge and put someone in a box and say, this person's wasting their life? How do I know? I don't know what they're going to do next, how they're going to evolve, what they're going to step into. Well, okay. All I could do is shine the light to them that they don't see in themselves.
Great. That's what...
Right? Just even a little.
Well, let's put it this way. Looking at the world the way it is now.
Yes.
What percent do you think sees the light in themselves?
It's probably very small. I don't even know. Let's just guess 10%. If we get over 60%. If we get to 65%, then we're going to have an amazing world. So just bringing back anything that's not the energy of love, bringing back anything that's negative, anything that's evil, anything that's dark, alchemizing it back into the energy of love and light. And that's like...
But right now, what's the situation in the world?
It's very dark. There's a lot of darkness, a lot of negativity.
Okay. It's about, as you said, I thought you were very generous with
Well,
your
you just
answer.
asked how many are lit understand.
Right.
That's different than people who are trying to do good.
Okay.
Right.
I asked how, let's say 5% right now.
Okay.
So from the question that you
Okay.
interpret. But let's say go back to the question or the answer that you're giving. What percent of the people do you think that is?
I would say 10%.
Okay.
Like just truly living in touch with their own greatness, their own spiritual greatness.
Okay. So you have that up to 10%.
Sure.
And you see a difference. Okay, what you're saying is
It's a guess, though. I have no idea.
Good. No, but it's a good guess. It's what I'm saying is you make that estimate. So really there's at least 90% of the people in the world that you can bring to the idea, hey, you're a son of God. You're a child of God.
And I wouldn't even say that because
that would get
spirituality comes, you need spirituality. All religion is based on spirituality. You don't need religion to be spiritual. So by bringing religion into it, so people had spiritual experiences. They came back,
but
put
just
them
saying
to paper.
you're a son of God is not a religious thing.
Yes, it is.
It could be a really the reality. You are.
Yeah, well, so you'd have to clarify that. I don't mean God as depicted in the Bible, but you've already lost the person.
Okay.
Right, you've already lost me. My brother died when I was in 4th grade. Your son died, and that's when I was just like, yeah, not Catholic anymore. And so you say God, then suddenly it's like people are going to jump to.
You're thinking of the guy with the beard.
Exactly, and say no.
Who tells the Catholic Church
yes.
they have the right idea. Okay.
So if you say source, universe, God force, just understand that you'll have a more receptive audience if you say what you mean by God. Like you could use the word God, but if people think you're trying to sell them on your religion versus their religion.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a philosopher. I'm not a theologian.
Well, even philosophy is different than spirituality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's picture this. All over the world, people had spiritual experiences. We were listening to the NDE thing the other day, near-death experience. People had all these things. They come back. I'm not saying people didn't have these experiences, right? Then they put them to paper to make religions. And then now people are looking at the religions and maybe factually, maybe like a buffet, take it or leave it. I like this part, not that part. And they're studying the religion. How many of them are actually connected to the actual spiritual experience? How many of them are actually connected to this spiritual force within them? And so if you have, let's say, my finger, if this is spirituality over here, people get spiritual experiences, come up with all these religions, pass it on to people over here. Well, let's just not worry about which religion and let's just get that spirituality. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I do work in, I call it SQ, spiritual quotient. And I say it's already perfect. Unlike IQ, which you want to build up, EQ you want to build up, spirituality is already perfect. But you have to remember it. You have to uncover it. And it's already there. And that's in line with what you're saying from this perspective of how much of God is actually shining through versus people who forget. And that's it. Why this conversation is so interesting is because we're like pointing at the same thing and we're using different words while we're pointing at it, right?
Exactly. God. Different words, but well, let's put it this way. Joe,
yes.
You know Joe, right?
Yes.
He is a spiritual man.
Yes.
Okay, and he knows that there is a little source that runs from your body
Yes.
to someplace else.
Right.
John Blanco, yesterday, Mom, Kathy, and I guess you were standing there, right? John is like, he's on the tether. He's ready to, he thinks that he has to say goodbye real soon.
Oh.
You know, there's that worry, you know, of course, let's put it this way. During the conversation I had with him on the side, he was crying because he wants to take care of some of his grandkids. You know, I want to take care of my grandkids, boom, boom, boom. But he walked worse than I did when he tried to walk.
Oh.
You know, and he knows he's falling apart. So I said, John, just give me a hand, and you know, you're going to feel something, and it'll get to the right part of your body in a couple days, you know, soon. So he took the arm, and he really felt the transfer, or at least he says he really felt the transfer of the flow, which we all have. So what I'm after is, with this conversation, is forming a group where they don't worship Ed. Oh, he's the prophet, you know.
Yeah.
I want each person to say, holy shit, that's right. You know, I do have a power, and it could grow. It could grow. You could get more and more of this spirituality. And
I would say unveil versus grow, or it expands, right? Like, 'cause
Okay.
it's already there, right?
it's already there.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's, you know,
But grow is not a bad word.
no, it's not. I would say,
But it's just, it's not work. It's not something you have to work on getting or acquiring.
right.
Yeah.
That's the scary part of all the words. With everybody has their own definition and relationship with words, that you have to be careful what words you use, because oh, this is immediately locked with this religion, or this is no. You don't want that. You know what you just said. You have this gift within you, and if you call it a God.
Did I say spiritual wellness in the 8 dimensions? Because that is one of the dimensions. Did I say that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like.
So it'd be worldwide, even then, what is it? The World Health Organization talks about different dimensions of wellness. They might not do the 8, but spiritual dimension always makes the list. And yeah, on that relationship of
It's
spirit and understanding too that we arise out of the spiritual, that it's not really something in us, right? Like, we're arising out of it. All of this 3D space time is arising out of that, whatever you choose to call it.
So what you're saying is, in any conversation, if you want to refer to a spiritual being or a spiritual
Well, you
essence.
noticed while I was talking with Joe, everything he was saying about Jesus, God, the Bible, what was I doing?
Standing on the side, nodding your head.
Exactly. Those, right? So he could, whatever words, that's fine, because the spirituality is there. It's coming through. He's sharing with everyone. He's shining light and love and amplifying love with the world. His way is working for him, right? And so I'm not someone to tell him, oh, well, you shouldn't have told that woman, Wendy, Bible, you should have used this word. No, I'm not going to do that, right?
Just that it's almost like, okay, I'm talking about what? You're the Son of God, right? Now what people are going, like you said, they could immediately turn that off.
Right.
Okay, so what words can you use
Right.
to express the same thing
Right.
without the cutoff?
Because if he tried to talk to her and she said that's BS, then you could switch the words, right? But I do think you just decide for yourself how you want to share it. Because for some people, their religion is so truly important to them that they are going to want to share it in that way, but then not everyone's going to listen to it in that way, right? And so that's why I'm saying I'm cutting that whole piece out of the equation and talking SQ. It's like religion is fascinating. It's fine. It's lots of paths up the same mountain, all with a core of love. And that's wonderful, but that's not what this is, right? We're focusing over here on spirituality and also like feeling it, right? Knowing it. There's one thing about believing it. There's one thing about knowing books inside out, but knowing it. And like, I would say, oh, I hear about water. I've never touched water. I've never drank water. Oh, is it sticky? Is it going to burn my hand off? Oh, I learned about water. I know all this stuff. I believe in water. You come up and throw water in my face. Now I know water, right? And so I'm saying that's the way I share it. And people can connect it to their religion. That's fine. That's fine, right? But I'm not going to even be the one to say, oh, and this maps to this religion over here, and if you're this, it matches over here. That's just not even part of the conversation, because now we're using that intellect, we're using all the thinking, and this is less thinking. This is more experiential, right?
Yep.
And letting it flow.
Yep.
And if you think too much, you're not letting it flow. If you're in this abyss of ever stressed mode, constant negativity, you're not letting it flow, right?
So if we want to talk about, let's say, the idea of the Hema, right? Mm-hmm. You want it's something that's innate, spiritually, mm-hmm. in the individual, in the race.
Right.
Every person has this. You make any references to anything else, some examples of it exist with some of the spiritual leaders. Mm-hmm. In my mind, also exists with the olden gods. Mm-hmm. But how do you communicate that without pressing the buttons?
Well, since I don't know what your religious affiliation is these days, but I would think you're still religious, right? And you have all of this religious knowledge, and you're living in an area where you have a lot of people who are Catholic, Christian, Episcopalian, right. Protestant. So that's the way you speak it. It's going to land on most ears, right?
Okay.
That's fine.
That's
right.
Because
yeah,
you're saying if the outright saying would key around Christ, because Christ was the guy who said, "Hey, Turkey, you're the Son of God," mm-hmm. and
you shall do greater things than I, or you will do greater things than I,
something like that,
right? So share it. I mean, that's probably why it's all written down anyway, because it had meaning. The stories made points, right? All that good stuff. And so I'm not telling you not to do it from a religious perspective. I'm sharing...
Use the terms I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And I was very familiar with the terms I was going to use.
Yeah.
But you scared me because, what religion is he trying to convert us to? None.
Well, then if you meet someone you still want to talk to, and they don't seem into hearing about Jesus and Catholicism, etc., then you could say, when I use the word God, you might use a different word for it. What do you call it? And then they might say the mother lode, or they might say, the universe, or source, or source energy, or divine spirit, right? Good. And then you say, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Good. And then you could shift your conversation still while staying true to yourself, right? Using words.
I'm going to be talking about source energy, and one of the best examples I have is Christ.
There you go.
Okay.
That's perfect.
And I'm not trying to convert you to go and put money in the church basket on Sunday that I'm collecting.
Right.
So, okay, good.
But I have an interesting thing I want to ask you your take on, because as I've been hearing all the near-death experience stories, I love hearing the stories of people who literally came back, versus people who are here just trying to make sense of it all. And underlying over and over again is that there is only love. It's only unconditional, pure love.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story.
No hell. So if anything, you'd say only heaven.
When I was really, I guess when the stroke really hit me, I got thrown down into the ambulance, and the quick action of your mother. Okay.
All right. So you're telling me about when you had the stroke and you were thrown in the ambulance.
Right. I thought that was it. I guess you call it an NDE, what you refer to. And what it was,
Sorry.
what it was I was down and I got to walk to this area that had a separation. On the one side of the separation was me and somebody sitting in a chair. And looking at what the man who was sitting in the chair was stopping or interviewing people, there was just people racing across a field, okay? And they were just racing like, oh wow, and I said, wow, that's interesting. But when I got there to do my interview with the man in the chair, it was like you could go back. And that's what I chose, to go back, rather than the man saying, okay, come on, I'm opening the door, you go on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
And
What did he look like?
just a guy sitting in a chair, just, okay, take a seat, and
Yeah.
okay, you want to go back, and bing.
How'd you feel? Like, what emotions?
Oh wow. What I felt was when I got there, first I said, I'm dead, and where are the angels, and where's the heavenly light? And then I said, there ain't none. There's just this crowd of, not crowd, it was only about 15 people, I guess, some small number, running across a field, not antagonized or scared, but it just seemed that they wanted to get back in the game, I guess, running, and they had to form both male and female, and there I was,
Was it peaceful?
Yeah, it was. I said that it was peaceful, but the people who were running across an open field to the trees, right, looked like they were in a hurry to get there, which you could say, oh yeah, maybe Sharon is pulling the next boat right out. They want to make sure they catch the boat,
Yeah.
So I couldn't interpret it even then. But the first thing was the surprise that I did not see the golden light and, other people from, from my past lives popping up.
Yeah.
Not seeing any of that, just seeing, okay, get online again, Buster. That's really what it was,
What's interesting is Dr. Evan Alexander, I heard him on a podcast sharing his story of who met him. And he said that it wasn't maybe his mom or his grandma or someone, because then he would not have wanted to come back. So I hear your story, and like Grandma Mary wasn't there, and
Right.
right? That because probably they wanted you to decide versus see them and run off with them.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, that's it. Oh yeah, let's I'm here at the car. I see the trees, the street there, and 15 people racing, racing to a spot, and whoever it was that I was talking to started to talk.
Do you think you knew him at all, or it just...
No.
Yeah.
No. And I was saying, wait a minute, where's the golden light, and where's this guy? His wings were his golden light.
Yeah.
He's just a doorman? No, he seems much more powerful than that. But keep the door closed and.
So peace, no pain.
Right. It's just like, okay.
Any other emotions?
Nope.
No. Was time different?
It just, I wasn't aware of a concept of time. I was just aware that the people on the field were racing to the trees.
Were you aware of like the ambulance and mom? Did mom go in the ambulance?
I don't think so. That was like total lockdown for me.
Oh, interesting.
So then I said, wait a minute. I'm supposed to walk and the light's supposed to shine, and hey, I'm here with the guy at the door. At least they're even though there are not guys flying with angel wings, I'm not seeing a heating system that's unbearable. So it's like,
interesting.
it's okay, and
A lot of times the stories are like some things are in common and some things are like unique. Like I think I bought his book on the Kindle. I think I didn't read it yet because I only recently heard that podcast. I think he was saying like he was on a butterfly wing and he was with someone I think he knew from life, and you don't know who it is till the end of the book, and he didn't tell you who it was, but he did say it wasn't, say, his mom or dad or something. Oh, I don't even know who it would have been that he said, but yeah, someone like that family that he would recognize, because then he would never want to come back. And so other people, so I think we might have our experience based on like what's going to be easy for us to accept, right? Like what, and then also though, when people are posed with that question of deciding to stay or go back, it's like you can go to this other level, but then you're not going back. So like, did you get a sense that there was like, is that where they were running to, or was there something else?
Running to the trees. There was something, let's say, in the forest, a little forest, whatever it was, and they were just eager to get there. And join the crowd.
It seemed like they wanted to go around again, like have another life, another lifetime.
That's what I was concluding. You don't know. It's like, wait a minute, you're not even going to give me a special life. I mean, I have to come back and run through the struggles again. So it was
I don't think that's how it's that's how it works based on what I've seen.
No, it was just like I didn't make that judgment then. It was just, okay, 15 people racing across the field, running through the trees. And part of it, I said, they're racing to get through the trees to Sharon and the river boat, and Sharon sends you to the other side, so you forget most of the crap that you have, and put me back or something, or I don't want to go. But I was saying, wow, no big sunshine, no big angels, no big playing of the harps, and also no pit with flames. So I said, I'm doing all right.
Oh, look, guess who's coming up? If we look in there. Speaking of angels. You see it? Oh, there she is. There she is. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'll tell you when we had one of the books you just got me. I'll tell you something.